Good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here this morning. My name is Joanne, and I am the programming director at University Recreation on the Pullman campus, and I'm really happy to be here today. Our topic today is mindful eating. This is one of my favorite topics. My undergrad actually is in food and nutrition, and I was a registered dietitian for about 10 years. Through my work at University Recreation, I also have become a registered yoga teacher. And in order to help out a grad student with their dissertation about 15 years ago, I started studying mindfulness so I could teach mindful yoga classes for her to collect data about the impact of mindfulness-based yoga on body image, which they actually found there's a positive relationship between the two. But I was really grateful for that opportunity to learn about mindfulness because it has really impacted me in my day-to-day life. So what we're going to talk about today is really based on a book called The Savor by a really famous mindfulness teacher. He is a monk. His name is Thich Nhat Hanh, and I apologize, I probably do not pronounce that properly. But he has several books on mindfulness, and they're all my favorites. But this is my favorite mindful eating book, and there are a lot out there, and there's several that are really good. So to start out, mindful eating is the practice of paying attention to what you eat. So if we take a step back even further, mindfulness is paying attention to what's happening right now without assigning a lot of judgment to it. So there's a lot of benefits of a mindfulness practice in our everyday lives, including getting the most out of every moment. But specifically for a mindful eating practice, the benefits are we tend to improve our diet quality because we pay more attention to what we're eating and how it tastes and how it impacts how we feel. We tend to enjoy our food more because we do take the time to notice the taste, the smells, the actual process of eating, and so then we get to really taste our food. There has been research that shows that there is a impact on weight management with mindful eating, and we tend to eat without noticing what we're eating if we're doing something else, and then it takes a little while for our bodies to recognize when we are full. So if we're paying attention to what we eat, we tend to able to eat as much as we need and not more or not less. And so we can recognize when we're hungry more, and then we can take care of our bodies in that way. And then also if we practice mindful eating, it leads into practicing mindfulness elsewhere in our lives. All right, so we're going to practice today. So hopefully everybody brought a snack. And if you don't have a snack, that's okay. If you have a cup of coffee still, or if you have even a glass of water, we can eat and drink all of those things mindfully and benefit from this. So the key to mindful eating or mindful drinking is to set aside some time just to eat or to drink. And so you might, for the next few minutes, turn your screen off or turn your screen around so that you're not looking at this and you're not distracted by maybe notifications of your email or anything else that might show up on your computer screen. And to start out with, let's find ourselves a comfortable either seated or standing position. And let's take a few moments here. Maybe we can even close our eyes just for a little bit here. If we don't feel comfortable closing our eyes, we can find something on our table or on the wall in front of us to stay focused on. And let's take a couple deep breaths. So we'll inhale through our nose, and we'll exhale either through mouth or nose. Big inhale. Bring our breath all the way down into our belly. So you might feel your belly inflate. And when you exhale, let's relax our arms and our shoulders. Maybe even shake out our arms a bit, wiggle our fingers. One more time, big breath in. And when we exhale, let's relax our legs as much as we can, maybe even wiggle our toes. Now let's notice the feeling of standing or sitting. Notice where our feet touch the floor. Notice where our body touches the chair if we're sitting. See if we can roll our shoulders back just a couple of times. Now give yourself permission to stay in this space for the next 5 minutes or so. That means we get to set aside our to-do list. It means we get to set aside anything that we've been thinking about for later on today, or maybe what's happened so far today. Just give yourself the next few minutes to stay in the present moment. And now that we've done this, check in and see how you're feeling, including checking in to see if you're feeling hungry or feeling thirsty. And if we identify hungry or thirsty, notice what that feels like in our bodies. All right, now we can open our eyes if we need to. Notice what you have to eat or drink in front of you. Notice its colors, the shape. Notice if you can smell the food or the drink that you have. You might even move yourself a little bit closer so you can inhale and notice the scent from your drink or from your food. Now when you're ready, you can pick up your cup or your utensil or your piece of food, and you can take a sip or take a bite. If you're using a utensil, once you put the food in your mouth, put the utensil down. Same goes for if you're taking a drink. Put your cup down. As you swallow your drink, now only focus on chewing, tasting, and enjoying your food or your drink. You might notice what the tastes are. You might notice if your food or drink is sweet, or if it's spicy, or if it's salty. You might notice texture. Some people like to count the number of times they chew when they're practicing mindful eating, which if you're feeling pretty distracted can be a pretty helpful technique. So it's an option that you could try. Now before you take another bite or another sip, check in again and notice how you feel. Are you still hungry? Are you still thirsty? And if so, take another drink or take another bite. And I'm actually going to give you a couple of minutes to focus on your snack or focus on your drink. Each time repeating this process. Now, if and when you get distracted during this, take a deep breath and use your exhale to let go of the distractions. And distractions are anything not associated with eating or drinking your snack. Now, if you're still eating, that's okay. You can continue to eat. Let's all take a deep breath. Let's do a check-in here and see how we're feeling. At first, this practice might feel a little bit awkward or a little bit strange. This isn't something that we typically do, where we get to set everything aside and get to just focus on eating. I feel like in Western culture, eating is something that we do while we do other things. But there's really a lot to be gained if we give ourselves a chance just to eat. So there's a few things that we can do to have this practice become more a part of our regular day. So we can give ourselves the opportunity, even if it's just 5 minutes in a meal, to just eat. And then if we have other stuff that we have to do while we eat, then we can, fire our email back up and start working on our email while we eat. But even just 5 minutes of this mindfulness practice can be a real benefit with regards to stress management, also with regards to being able to enjoy our food. Mindful eating doesn't have to be practiced alone and silently. You can also practice this while you eat with others. And so my ideas to eat mindfully with others are to talk about the food that you're eating while you eat. So rather than talking about other parts of our day, maybe we specifically discuss our food as we eat with others, how the food was prepared, what the food tastes like, what we appreciate with regards to aesthetics of what's on our plate or what we're drinking. And all these can help us keep more focused on our meal rather than on other things. You can also apply your mindfulness practice to your whole meal, including your prep. So Thich Nhat Hanh, the person that wrote that book, Savor, talks about applying mindfulness to everything from picking your food or shopping for your food all the way to washing the dishes. In one of my favorite books of his called The Miracle of Mindfulness, he describes having to wash the dishes at the monastery where he lived. And until he discovered mindfulness and applied mindfulness to washing the dishes, he would only be thinking about the tea that he got to have after he was done with the dishes. But once he started focusing on being mindful during washing the dishes, noticing the feel of the dishes in his hands and the feel how warm or cold the water was as he washed the dishes, he found that experience to be much more enjoyable, and it went by a lot faster. So it's something to think about, that if maybe your meal isn't going to be as mindful because you've got too many distractions, sometimes we can't help those, that perhaps then you just push your mindfulness practice to the cleanup afterwards. You can also spend some time right before you eat, just to take a moment to express gratitude to those who have participated in producing the food that you have, all the way from growing the food or raising the food to moving it to the grocery store, for getting our food from the grocery store. Just taking a moment to say thanks for having the opportunity to have the meal. I just want to say thank you very much for practicing with me today. You can reach me at my WC email address. I'm Joanne Green, E on the end of both Joanne and Green, and I'd love to answer any questions that you have. We also offer some mindfulness classes and yoga classes through the rec department. And then a reminder that next week we are moving our schedule to Tuesdays and Thursdays rather than every day at 10 a.m. And you're back with me on Tuesday for some chair yoga. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.